Elena sat in the bridal suite, her hands trembling as she smoothed the folds of her white gown. Her chest tightened, heart pounding faster than she could calm it. This day was supposed to be everything she had dreamed of, the happiest moment of her life. For 3 years, she had imagined walking down the aisle toward Derek, the man she loved. She caught her reflection in the mirror. Hair perfectly styled, veil draped neatly, eyes shimmering with a mix of nerves and fragile hope. Outside, the murmur of guests filled the air. The music would begin any minute. Everything was in place. Then the door opened. Her younger sister, Samantha, stood there. Her face was blotchy, streaked with tears, mascara smudged in dark lines beneath her eyes. Elena rose quickly, startled. "What's wrong?" she asked. Samantha shook her head, staring at the floor. Her voice was a whisper. "I didn't want you to find out like this." "Find out what?" Elena pressed. Before Samantha could respond, Elena's phone buzzed on the table. A notification. She picked it up, confusion etched across her face. It was a video link. She tapped it open. The screen lit up with an image that made the room tilt around her. Derek stood in a suit. Samantha wore a white dress. They were laughing, kissing, standing before a small altar inside what looked like a courthouse. In the corner of the video, the timestamp glowed. Today, her wedding day. Elena froze, her mouth parted but soundless. Behind her, Samantha's quiet sobs broke into heavier cries. "I didn't mean for you to see it this way," she choked out. Noise swelled outside the door. Whispers, gasps, the shuffle of phones lighting up. The video was spreading. Elena stepped out of the suite slowly. Guests turned toward her, then quickly looked away. Some whispered behind their hands, others shook their heads in pity. Her mother, Monica, stood in the hall, pale but composed. "Elena," she said softly. "We need to be there for Samantha now." Elena blinked. "What? Why?" Monica's answer was barely audible. "She's pregnant." Elena said nothing. She looked at her sister, then at her mother, then down at her gown. Without a word, she turned and walked out of the venue. A car was pulling away in the distance. Maybe Derek and Samantha. Maybe someone else. It didn't matter. Elena stood still, her expression empty, her chest hollow. Her white dress rippled in the wind as the world blurred around her, slipping further from her grasp. Just like that, everything she thought she knew shattered. Elena and Derek had been together 3 years. Their love wasn't loud or rushed. It was steady, gentle, and sure. Derek was studying law, and Elena supported him through long nights and crushing exams. She even paid for his LSAT prep when money was tight. She believed in him, even when he doubted himself. But Elena carried her own burdens too. Her father had been ill, and she spent her days caring for him while working part-time. After he passed, a piece of her heart went with him, but she pushed forward, for her family and for Derek. Samantha had always been present. Too present. Bright, pretty, always drawing attention. The daddy's girl. But underneath, she resented how close Elena had been to their father. She always seemed to be competing, even when no one else was playing that game. Elena noticed the way Samantha laughed too eagerly at Derek's jokes, how she found excuses to linger near him. But she trusted them both. She trusted her sister. She trusted her fiancé. Their mother, Monica, always had the same advice when tension arose. Sisters must stick together. Family first. So Elena stayed silent, even when small lines were crossed. Even when her instincts whispered that something was wrong. Now the truth stood in front of her. After the wedding that never was, Elena couldn't bear the world outside. She left her job. She hardly left her apartment. Whenever she tried, strangers' stares lingered too long, whispers trailed behind her. Everyone had seen the video. Everyone knew. Her phone stayed silent most days. People who once greeted her with warmth now avoided her. She was frozen in the moment she saw Derek and Samantha at that altar, while their lives carried on. Samantha posted honeymoon photos from a beach far away, wide smile, oversized sunglasses, showing off a sparkling new diamond. One caption read, "Forever was worth the wait." Elena stared at the picture, hands steady now, too exhausted to tremble. Her tears had dried up days ago. All her sacrifices, every late night, every ounce of support, Every part of herself she had poured into Derek, discarded like nothing. Now her sister lived in the house Elena and Derek were meant to share. Her mother refused to discuss it. When Elena asked how Samantha could betray her, Monica's only answer was, "Sometimes life doesn't go as planned, sweetheart. Let go of anger." But what Elena felt wasn't just anger. It was heavier, colder, a hollow emptiness she couldn't mend. She wasn't simply heartbroken, she felt erased, replaced. No job, no fiancé, no father, no one to lean on. Worst of all, the two people who hurt her most behaved as if she were the one in their way. Weeks later, Elena sat in silence on her couch. Days stretched endlessly. She kept the curtains closed. She barely ate. Most friends had stopped checking in, and she didn't blame them. There was nothing to say, only pain. Then one morning, a knock at the door. She opened it cautiously. No one stood there. On the ground lay a plain brown envelope. No name. No return address. Sealed with a single strip of tape. Elena picked it up, carried it inside, and carefully broke it open. Inside were two items. The first, a copy of a legal document. At the top, in stark black letters, prenuptial agreement. Derek Young and Samantha Cruz. Her heart pounded as her eyes dropped to the dates. The prenuptial agreement had been signed 2 weeks before Elena's wedding was supposed to take place. But what came next shocked her even more. Inside the envelope was a blurred black and white ultrasound photo. On the back, written in neat handwriting, were 2 simple letters, KR. Elena stared at them, frozen. Her stomach turned as the realization hit. This child didn't belong to Derek. Her legs felt unsteady, and she sank onto the couch, the paper trembling in her grasp. She had no idea what step to take next, but she knew exactly who might help her. That afternoon, she drove to see her Aunt Carla, her late father's younger sister, the only one who had refused to take sides. Elena slid the envelope across the table. "This was left at my door," she said quietly. Carla flipped through the papers in silence until she reached the back of the ultrasound. She exhaled deeply, her eyes dimming. "I knew it," she murmured. Elena leaned closer. "Knew what?" Carla's gaze was heavy. "There have always been secrets in this family, sweetheart. We were told to pretend they didn't exist. But secrets don't stay buried forever. The question is, who is KR?" Elena's lips parted, but Carla shook her head. "Be careful. They've hidden things for a long time. You'll have to decide if you're ready to dig them up." Elena only nodded, too overwhelmed to speak. That night, sitting alone in her room, she opened her laptop. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard before finally typing a name, Brent Keller. He had once been her colleague at the law firm before she quit. A man who was decent, steady, and believed in doing what was right. She sent him a short message. "Hi Brent, I need help with something personal. Can we talk?" His reply came within minutes. "Of course. Come tomorrow. And Elena, whatever it is, we'll figure it out." For the first time in weeks, she felt a spark of strength. The truth had been hidden, but now she was ready to uncover it. The following day, Brent sat across from her in his quiet office. Documents lay spread across the desk, and he slid one toward her. "Elena," he said carefully, "this is Derek and Samantha's marriage license." Her eyes scanned the page, at first confused, then they widened. The license had been filed 5 days before her wedding day. Before Samantha cried fake tears in her bridal suite. Before Derek left her standing at the altar. They were already married. Her voice trembled. They planned it all along. Brent nodded slowly. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't last minute. They knew exactly what they were doing. Elena's hands clenched tightly in her lap. They had made her look like a fool before her family, her friends, the entire town. But now she knew, it was all deliberate. They had watched her walk toward a ceremony that was never meant to happen. That evening, Elena went to her mother's house to collect a few belongings. She intended to be quick in and out. But as she stepped toward the hallway, she froze at the sound of voices coming from the kitchen. Samantha and Monica. They hadn't realized she was there. "I told you to handle it," Samantha hissed. "She's digging. She's going to make noise." "You think I can control her now?" Monica shot back. "You created this mess. She'll ruin everything." Then make her stop. She's your sister, Monica snapped. Elena stood rigid against the wall, her pulse racing. The words sliced deep. Samantha wasn't regretful, she was afraid. Not afraid of the pain she had caused, but of Elena finally fighting back. Quietly, Elena slipped out before they could see her. Memories stirred, a forgotten moment from childhood. She was 10 when Samantha had broken their mother's favorite vase, then cried to Monica, blaming Elena. Elena had been punished harshly, grounded for a month, missing her birthday party, while Samantha had watched from the hallway with a sly smile. She'd never apologized. Not then. Not ever. And now nothing had changed. A few days later, Brent called. I found something, he said. He pulled up a private database, revealing flagged texts and grainy photos retrieved from Samantha's old cloud account, still tied to Elena. The pictures were blurry, taken late at night in a hotel room. The man beside Samantha wasn't Derek. It was Kyle Renshaw, a married politician with a spotless reputation and polished promises. Elena's breath caught. Care Kyle. The ultrasound finally made sense. The baby had never been Derek's. She sat in stunned silence. Brent asked gently, Do you want to keep going? Her jaw tightened. I want the truth. That night, Elena returned to her mother's house once more. Monica sat on the couch flipping through a magazine. Elena sat across from her. I know about Kyle Renshaw, she said evenly. He's the baby's real father. And I know you knew. Monica froze. After a long silence, she sighed and set the magazine down. It would have destroyed Samantha. It would have destroyed him. You don't understand, image matters. Your father's name, our family's reputation. Elena's voice shook. I gave everything for this family. I cared for Dad. I paid for Derek's exams. I worked when no one else would. And you chose her. She was scared, Monica murmured. And Derek. He was already pulling away from you. Elena rose to her feet. You didn't protect me. You protected a lie. Monica's expression hardened. You're overreacting. These things happen. You just have to move on. But Elena didn't answer. She walked out slowly, her chest aching. Her family had chosen silence over truth. Her mother, her sister, even Derek. She looked up at the night sky. They expected her to stay silent. But not this time. With Brent's guidance, Elena filed a defamation and civil damages case against Derek and Samantha. It wasn't revenge she wanted, it was justice. She wanted the truth exposed publicly, the same way they had humiliated her in front of everyone. Brent began gathering every piece of evidence carefully. The prenup, the marriage certificate, the ultrasound with KR scrawled on the back, and the photos of Samantha with Kyle Renshaw. Brent even managed to get old text messages, ones showing Samantha and Derek arranging their secret wedding while Elena was still busy planning hers. In court, Elena stood firm. Her hands shook, but her voice didn't falter. She explained to the judge how she had been deceived, how her trust was shattered, and how she became a laughingstock in the very town she grew up in. One by one, Brent revealed the evidence. Each photo, each message made the room quieter. Samantha sat stiff at the defense table, arms folded, pretending calm. Derek wouldn't even glance at Elena. Then the texts flashed on the screen. Samantha. She still thinks it's her wedding LOL. Derek. Let her keep planning. It'll be easier this way. Gasps filled the courtroom. Even the judge raised an eyebrow. Next came the pictures, Samantha and Kyle Renshaw, hand in hand, kissing outside a hotel. Kyle's lawyer jumped up, insisting, My client has never had a romantic relationship with Mrs. Samantha Cruz. Any suggestion otherwise is false and damaging. But the damage was already done. The following day, Derek's law firm issued a statement distancing themselves, making it clear his future there was under review. Right in the middle of the hearing, Samantha suddenly stood. Her face flushed, her voice rising. She screamed, pointing at Elena. She always had everything. She had Dad, she had the attention, the love, the peace. I just wanted to take something first for once. The courtroom froze. Some shook their heads, others whispered. The judge slammed the gavel for order. Samantha slumped back down, trembling. Outside, reporters swarmed. The story spread like wildfire. A week later, Samantha delivered early. The baby was premature but healthy. She named him Daniel, after their father. Elena saw the announcement online. The name felt like a quiet plea for forgiveness, but she wasn't swayed. Forgiveness wasn't in a name. It came from honesty, from actions, from real change. None of them had shown that. The trial had stripped everything bare. For the first time, Elena didn't feel weak or humiliated. She felt recognized. She had spoken her truth and people finally listened. She won a partial settlement. Not the full amount she asked for, but enough to prove she was right. Enough to show she'd been deceived, betrayed, and used, and that none of it was her fault. Afterward, the same people who once whispered about her behind her back began voicing support. News outlets picked up the story, calling her the woman left at the altar by her sister and fiancé, and the brave one who refused to stay silent. At last, the story wasn't twisted. It was hers. Samantha slipped quietly out of state. No farewell, no apology, just silence. Her social media went dark, the bright honeymoon photos deleted, as though she was trying to erase her mess. Derek's fall was harsher. His law firm cut ties completely, and the Bar Association suspended his license for unethical behavior. The man who once seemed untouchable now faced an uncertain future. Elena didn't celebrate. She focused on rebuilding. With part of her settlement, she founded a nonprofit for women scarred by betrayal, manipulation, and emotional abuse. She called it Clear Voice, the very thing she had longed for when others tried to silence her. It became a space where women could be heard, believed, and begin to heal. Months later, Elena stood before a camera in the same wedding dress she had once waited in alone. But now she wasn't in a bridal suite. She stood tall in a studio, part of a campaign called Reclaim the Story. "This isn't about marriage anymore," she said. "It's about reclaiming my power." The photographer snapped the final shot. "You look strong," he told her. Elena smiled. "I am." Outside the studio, Brent was waiting. Through it all, he'd been her steady friend. Patient, kind, never pushing for more than she was ready to give. Walking side by side, he asked softly, "Want to grab coffee sometime?" "Just something simple." Elena paused. She didn't say yes, didn't say no. She just smiled, because for once the choice was completely hers. Later, as she packed to move into her new apartment, sunlight spilled through the windows. This move felt different. It wasn't about escaping, but about starting on her own terms. At the back of the closet, she found a small, dusty box tied with a faded ribbon. She sat down, opened it, and found a jewelry case with a folded note. It was from her father. His handwriting steady, familiar. "To my Elena, who always saw too much. When they turn away from you, turn toward yourself." Her eyes filled, not with grief, but with the quiet truth of his words. He had truly seen her strength, her heart. Even before the lies, before sides were taken. Elena pressed the note close, then carefully placed it back. Outside, life carried on. Cars passing, people talking, the hum of the world. But inside, something had shifted. She stood. This time, she wasn't waiting for anyone else to choose her. She was choosing herself. And that was enough. Hey besties, thanks for watching until the very end. You're incredible. Don't forget to like, drop a comment, and hit subscribe so you never miss another story. See you next time. Bye.